Hey, good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody, I got put in the chat earlier, hope everybody enjoyed their New Year's. Probably had a couple days off from work. Hopefully, didn't have a lot of honeydews to get done. I know I did. I see Cole's said hey. Rick, hey man, how you doing, Rick? Got a bunch of people on down on the chat, but anyway, yeah. So it was a good good New Year's here at Landis Performance. Hey Ryan, how you doing? Both of our daughters are in town, so that was really nice. We got to spend some time with family, and of course, sometimes you do things and create your own work. So I'd gotten my wife a hot tub for Christmas, one of those Coleman inflatable ones. I looked around on YouTube and read some reviews on them, and everybody said it was a good investment to decide whether you really wanted to spend the big money for a real hot tub. So decided to go ahead and get that, and of course, if you guys see any of the videos on the channel, you've probably seen pictures of my wife's land tortoise. He's about 130 to 150 pounds. African spleeth, I think is what they call it. But he's got a lot of sharp pieces on his shell and on his body and stuff. So I was kind of worried about an inflatable hot tub. So I kind of stacked cinder blocks all around it so I could set it up. And that was okay, but if you ever rubbed against a cinder block with skin, it'll rip you up pretty good. So I knew we had to do something a little better than that. So that gave me a lot of work to do between Christmas and this last week. So I went ahead and built a deck for it, and shop inspector I believe gave me a green light. We'll go ahead and talk about that in a minute. But yes, I got the engine together and installed in Scott's Buick Skylark, and I was hoping to have a running clip before the show tonight, but I just ran out of time. So we'll show some stuff next week on that. Got some more done on the T-type. That's getting ready. I'm ready now, especially that Scott's Skylark's done. I can go ahead and get that thing, get the wiring harness in that, and get that thing fired up. That's next week's deal. And then I got fuel setting unit, which I didn't get any pictures on that. I'll have to do that for Chuck's twin turbo OBS project. So that new gas tank and everything's ready to go back in the truck. We'll probably do that maybe on Saturday. Not sure, because it may be a short day on Saturday. This coming weekend is the Daryl Gwynn benefit show of shows. So I've had some videos, and we've showed some stuff on the live show before. For you guys that don't know, Daryl Gwynn is a local drag racer, actually second generation. His dad raced in the 60s and early 70s out of North Miami Beach, when North Miami Beach was part of Florida. And Daryl grew up and started running Top Alcohol Dragster, then moved into Top Fuel Dragster, and was very successful until he had a racing incident in Europe, doing an exhibition on one of his cars that they had sold and shipped over there. And it was just one of those freak things that everything that could have went wrong, and he ended up being paralyzed. And Mike Dunn drove the car afterwards for a while, and then they finally closed up the team. But probably back about 1996 his accident was. So he has a foundation that they give mobility chairs to people with spine injuries and stuff. So we have a car show every year, and it's mainly more of race cars in a car show than show cars, which is a little different than a normal car show. And it's great for all the local South Florida ex-racers and current racers and everybody to get together and reminisce. And they also do the Miami Hollywood Speedway racetrack. They have their inductees at this event where they tell everybody who the inductees to the Hall of Fame are for the 2026 season. I think they do it for the season before. Yeah, Dave, how you doing? Happy New Year. So that's Saturday, so we might bug out a little early on Saturday, and I'll try to get some footage of all the cars down there. I try to do that every year, so we'll see how that happens, how that works out. And the following Sunday is going to be Cool Wheels car show in Deerfield Beach. That's our biggest show of South Florida every year. Usually, I think last year we had 1,250 cars at that show. So I'll definitely be getting some video of that show. And, of course, all the local guys, we always get a parking spot together. So we'll all hang out for the weekend, for the Sunday, and have a good time with that. But that's the following week. That's the 18th. So Rick says, I believe this crash was Easter Sunday, 1990. That's very possible. I don't remember the exact time, but I know it was quite a while ago. He was a very young person at that time, and kind of really messed up his career. He was definitely going to become a world champion. But anyhow, it's a really good show, so we'll try to get some stuff done for that. And I'm pushing for Scott's Skylark to make it to the Cool Wheel show, and we'll have Scott's Vega at the Cool Wheel show, and that may be the last show with the 327 in it. I did pick up the LS long block, or complete engine, basically. It's going to go into Vega, so we'll be getting ready to get that done. First, of course, the T-type has to be finished up first, but getting close on that. And I did some work on the Cup Car. One of the guys that if you look at on the channel, there was about 4 years ago, I did a Terminator stealth install on a 68 Camaro. I think it was a 2-part video, and actually it was 3 parts if you count the fuel system. Anyhow, got a call from Tim, the owner, and he said he was having some fuel issues, and I helped him diagnose it, and I had him drop the tank, and sure enough, the rubber connection between the fuel pump and the fuel pickup, or the fuel fuel pickup that goes into the tank, that had split, and so all the fuel was running in the tank. It wasn't going out to the engine, so it didn't run. And he wanted to try to get it going. Couldn't find any of the stuff he needed, and I knew I had the correct pump and hose and stuff in my Cup Car, so I went ahead and pulled out, because the fuel cell had to come out of it anyway. So we got that all pulled out, and I've got the new ATL fuel safe cell in there. Worked on the can to get all the holes that were drilled in the other one covered up, and working on reinforcing the crash bracing that goes on the top of the tank. So I didn't get any pictures of that. I kind of ran out of time today, but we'll definitely have pictures of that next week, so I should have that all wrapped up. So that's kind of where we're at with everything. Let me go ahead and I wanted to show you the shop inspector. He went ahead and, like I said, he was doing his first inspection for us this time. So let's see here. For some reason, these pictures won't advance themselves. But here he is inspecting some of the work on the new deck that the hot tub's going to sit on. So he kind of was, showing no handrails and stuff. So working on that. There's a picture of it completed before inspection. So it ended up being a 10 by 10, and the railing is the same height as the hot tub. And the whole idea was to keep the shop inspector and the tortoise, Glendale, at bay when people are in the hot tub. Being inflatable, it is not puncture resistant. So we had to, make some kind of security system for it. So. That's not a good one there. Here he's given his initial assessment of the decking. Wasn't sure if he was approving or not in that picture. He hadn't given me any indication yet. And of course, he had to check and inspect the railing to make sure that was up to snuff. And there, of course, he was giving the initial construction the green light, figuring it's good enough to lay down and take a break on. It must be good enough for the hot tub to lay on it. So he did a good job there. So, hey Ron, how you doing? Happy New Year. So here's we're getting ready to put the kind of extra padding on the pump, and you can see over here in the corner. No, I don't get worried about that. But you can see there was the hot tub with the cinder block wall, temporary wall built around it. So that's what we were getting rid of, and this was going to be the new placement. There's the kind of a shot of the tub in there getting filled up. Kind of a close-up view here. Pretty nice. That's 88 inches across the outside. It's about 4 or 5 inches in the thickness. 185 jets in this thing. Pretty cool. And on one of the videos I watched, a guy put a amp meter on the outlet, and it only draws about 6 amps with the heater running. So pretty cool little deal. Here, Benji, the inspector's saying he's not 100% sure, but it's looking pretty good. But not ready to give us the full seal of approval yet. And here he is with the full seal of approval. Everything's good to go. Hey, Chuck, how you doing? Thanks, Cole. See, Ryan says putting those hot rod skills to work. Yeah. Yeah. One of the neighbors says, "I didn't know you were a carpenter," and like I told him, I said, I have a laser level, so I put the laser out there and set all the stones and tamped all the dirt down, and then tape measure and square and everything else. You know, it's just like putting metal together, except for instead of welding, you just have to screw it together. So worked out real well. Kind of had it, most of it engineered in my brain. I did have one of my buddies, Bobby, come over, and he gave me some extra advice on the deck boards and stuff like that, and he definitely was a great hand getting the final push to getting the thing finished. But we've used it a couple times now, and it's great. With the handrail at the height, you know, you can put snacks and drinks and stuff on the handrail. It's one of the things the hot tub didn't come with, was any place to put drink holders or something. It'd been really cool if they'd have stuck them in the inflatable sides. But all in all, real happy with the thing. Those things are, you know, you can get them on different pricing, different sizes. That one they say is good for 6 to 8 people. I will tell you it's not, but it's definitely comfortable for 4 adults to be in it at one time and not have to, you know, be running into each other or anything like that, invading anybody's privacy. The smaller ones you can get for about $300, and you can get 4 people in there, but you're gonna have to sit Indian style or sit on your feet because there's not enough room to spread out. One person can spread out, but you can't get a group of people, and it wouldn't be very comfortable. But this size is very good and comfortable, and you know, I give it a enthusiastic thumbs up. If you are thinking about anything like that, we keep it between 100 and 104, and we've been having some nice cool weather here in South Florida for a change, and pretty cool sitting in there and having all the steam coming off the thing, and it was really good with all the workout I got building it. Felt good on the back to be able to get in there and relax, and it was good to have the shop inspector starting to get his inspection skills up to snuff, and we'll have to get him checking out some of these projects here soon and see what he's thinking about that stuff. But it all worked out very good. So just wanted to give you a little update. That's kind of the reason why there's not a lot in the shop to talk about this week, because obviously that took a couple of days to put together, and quite a few trips to Home Depot. I didn't always get all the material I needed in one shot. So show you Scott's, give you an update on our kind of show you Scott's car before we took it apart. Here's what it was when I put it together. This was about 2.5 years ago. We got the car running 2 years ago. And I'll go over why we took it back apart. But here's a little sneak video I did on the car at that time. 63 Buick Skylark. Put this car together a little while ago. Back in getting some small repairs done. We weren't able to drive this one and get the mileage on it like I'd like to, so have some small repairs we had to do. Got a nice stance to it. Really good looking car. It's got an original 216 aluminum V8 in it. Not the original for this car, but it is an aluminum motor. It's got a 300 crank in it, so it's stroked to 266. We did all the plumbing. Custom radiator, built the fan shroud, built the Hydro Boost mounts for it, cleaned up all the wiring, and I even built brackets so we could have an alternator and AC compressor. Made the patterns and had those all laser cut. Got an Offie intake with the sniper on it. 700 R4. Got a G-body 8.5 rear end in it. 4-wheel disc brakes. Nice cruising car. It's got real nice leather interior. Didn't come in this car's factory, but Scott, my buddy, had those all done. Right now we still have the dash cluster out of it, or portions of it out anyway. But real nice, clean car. So that was 2 or 3 years ago. When I made that video, I'm not 100% sure when that was. And that was not the shop inspector in the background. That was our last shop inspector before he passed away. So that's shows you it was a couple years ago. So the reason we had to take the car back apart, Scott had bought the engine on eBay, of all places, and it came out of there's a company, D&D Specialties. They sell a lot of this Buick 215 stuff, which GM sold the rights to the motors to Land Rover, and Land Rover redesigned the block and reused those all the way up until like 2004, and made them as big as 4 liter. But all the components go back and forth. They you can use Rover heads on the Buick. You can put Buick heads on the Rover. Oldsmobile had their own cylinder head. They had a Starfire had a turbo kit on them. But anyway, so the engine came with a stick shift, a clutch, and this was before I was working on Scott's cars, and he had took it to a shop in this area, and when they converted the automatic, for whatever reason, they decided not to get a flex plate, and so they made an adapter to the flywheel, and the 700 R4 that they were using in this is the small bell housing that would come behind a 4-cylinder or the 60-degree V6. So it uses a small torque converter. Whatever reason, they made this contraption. Well, the problem was I had to take the transmission out and do some repairs. I had to then another time I pulled it out to do a rear main seal repair on the engine. Well, the adapters that the other shop made, they didn't make any registers to line everything back up on the back of the engine. They basically used 2.5-inch long grade 8 bolts going through a plate, then a thick aluminum spacer, and then the 30-pound cast iron flywheel into the crankshaft. But there was nothing indicating any of that to keep it in alignment. So every time we took the car apart, we got a different vibration in it. So I went ahead and found somebody to build a custom flex plate for it, which I'm not going to mention who it was because I'm not happy with the work that they did, but we were able to use what they put together with a bunch of modifications, and now it's back together, and I think we're going to be fine. Everything is now indexed properly. So at that point, I had to take the motor apart and get the crank balanced. We found out that the crank was probably never balanced because it was out of balance even on the front half of the crank. So the balancer side, which we had the original balancer, and it was out. So probably was never right to start with. And taking the engine apart, I found a bunch of problems with it. There was no dowel pins for the cylinder heads. The cam timing wasn't set right, and of course the balancing and stuff. So we got it all back together now. And I used that engine when I was doing the chemical stuff. When we had the discussion about what kind of stuff to use for building, assembling engines and stuff like that. So I do have a build video that I'm doing. I know I know Cole or somebody had mentioned when we did the chemical stuff, the camera was very blurry and stuff. So I think we got that ironed out. But here I can show you. Let's see, where are we at here? Yeah, so here's the engine all back together again, back in the car. All right, so here's Scott's 215 Buick Stroker 266, all back in the car. Was trying to get it running for the show tonight, but ran out of time. Had to replace the hydro boost, it was leaking. That's a design of our own. Fan shroud, Griffin custom radiator, and these accessory mounts on this side of the motor are stuff that I built myself also. So this car never came with an alternator. It had a generator and it never had an AC compressor before, so we built those brackets and made all that stuff fit. And the new flex plate, although it was expensive and took a long time to get, it did work. So we got it all in. I did have to make a shim for the starter, but other than that, it's all in. Yeah, so that's it's kind of where it's at now. I see Chris mentioned the distributor in the front. So almost all Buicks have front-mounted distributor. You can always tell the 3.8, 4.1 engines, distributors in the front. All the 215, 300, 350s, 400, 455s all had the same. In fact, the timing covers and stuff are interchangeable with quite a few different motors. They had an oil pump mounted in the timing cover on all those engines, which a lot of those parts are all interchangeable between all of the Buick engines. But yeah, so that's a telltale. And if you look in the like late 70s, early 80s Firebirds and stuff, that was a big deal. In fact, there was lawsuits about that because you could be buying a Trans Am with a 6.6 in it and thinking you're getting a Pontiac, and you open the hood and the distributor's in the front and it's a Buick motor, or it could be an Oldsmobile motor. So that was right around the time when GM was using corporate motors, not just putting them in whatever they wanted to put them in. And I was told that there was some lawsuits about that, and that's why they went into having to specify what engines were in different cars and stuff. But yeah, the distributor in the front on the Buicks is always a telltale. But they're good little engines. These things are, the only problem that GM had with the 215, which was probably one of the first aluminum blocks in American cars that I know of anyway, was their casting, the way they were casting the blocks, they weren't very up to speed on how to do that properly. So I believe Scott was telling me that they would only get one out of every 3 blocks casted, so they'd have to bust the other 2 blocks back down, remelt them down, and then recast them again, which again, that's, now you're kind of getting crappy aluminum because it's got mold dirt and stuff in it. So it just didn't work out very good for them. It ended up being a very expensive proposition, so that's why they sold the rights to Rover. And of course, they redesigned it. They had better casting capabilities in the UK, and they fixed all those issues, and the motor was very popular for a very long time. You could get an MG. I believe in the late 60s, you could get an MG with the Rover V8 in it from the factory. That was an option. And that's a very popular swap, to put the 215 in the in the Rover, I mean in the MG. In fact, when Vegas first came out, that was a popular swap also, to put the 215 into the Vegas. And in fact, the company D&D Specialties, that was the first thing that they were really known for, was engine swap kits for Vegas to put the Buick motor into Vegas, because it's a very light engine. Of course, they also got into the MGs and all that stuff once MGs came out, and just they kind of went from there. So really good little engine. I've had a couple. I've never had one that was complete. I always, whenever I see one available for sale, I bought them, because I always had these plans of maybe one day putting one together. I thought it was really cool. Of course, I never did get a chance to do it until this engine. So I've been through this one, and they did a lot of cool things. So the 300 crank, you have to machine the mains to accept that. They use small block Chevy rods, but they narrow the big end of the rod because of the distances on the journals on the stroker crank. And then, according to the D&D catalog, they use different pistons from different motors and stuff. They got some weird combinations so that they didn't have to have anything special made. They kind of were just finding what parts would work and then making it work. Pretty weird how they did all that. But between them, TA Performance, which I'm sure if you know Buicks, you know TA Performance. They make water pump upgrades. They got timing cover upgrades for them. Of course, they're one of the first companies that made the rear end girdles for the 10-bolt and 12-bolt rear ends. Well, it's a good little motor. It's got Petronics in the factory distributor. I recurved it. It's got the sniper on it. Got an offie intake, which I've cut the center divider out of, so it would work really well for that. The found out once we had the car running, one of the reasons why we had to take the transmission in and out a couple times, the transmission was used when Scott purchased it, and it came out of a 4-cylinder S10. So with the bore and stroke of the 266, which makes quite a bit of torque compared to a 4-cylinder, the stall was extremely high. So we had to have a local converter company try to tighten the converter up some. We've got that pretty close now. It's still a little on the loose side, but I think it's going to be good, especially now that the vibrations in the engine should be good. So it was, with the vibrations, it kind of felt like the thing was getting out of control. But should work good now, and I'll have it running and stuff tomorrow. So I'll have a running video for you guys next week. So that's about all I have on that. Let me see here, get rid of that. Of course, I didn't get any pictures of the Cup Car. That was bad of me. Well, I did have a video. Let me where let me go back to that. I did have a, well, it was the same video, kind of the same video of what we had before. Well, I can show you. It's the picture of the small bell housing. Hey, Team Junk, Happy New Year to you too. So there's the little bell housing with the small torque converter. You can see how small the pilot is. So that was one of the things. There was no pilot support with the setup that used to be in it. I think I have some pictures. Maybe I don't. I had some pictures of the old parts. All right. Let's see if I had any pictures on. I can show you guys some of these pictures. So, all right, a little update. Here's taking the motor apart. Oh, I already had it on. Sorry about that. I don't even know where it is. All right, a little update on the Buick Skylark. This is the 215 all aluminum Buick motor with a 300 crank, making it a 266 stroker. And it's got the Offenhauser intake manifold on it, Rover valve covers, and when I started working on the car, it had a transmission adapter on there, but when they assembled it, whoever did it, they used the stick shift flywheel with an adapter to the harmonic balancer. None of it was indexed, and every time we took the transmission out or had to take the flywheel off, the engine changed its vibration amount. So we went ahead and had a custom flex plate made for it, and now we're taking it apart to have the crank balanced so that the vibrations will all be gone. So that's what we're going to do right now. All right, so we got the Buick 215 crank balancer and flex plate back from MPR race engines, and they balanced the assembly, which was out quite a bit, and now we're reassembling the engine. So I'm going to go over some of the stuff that we're doing. So of course on the bearings, we're using Cleveite bearing guard for our assembly lube between the inserts and the journals. We're using these rods have ARP Pro series bolts in it, so we're using the ARP Molly on the rod bolts to torque them in, and I'm just getting ready to put the other set of 4 pistons in it, and I'm going to put the rear main seal in here in a minute. And I wanted to show how we do that with the anabolic sealant to make sure we have a good seal on the rear main seal. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. It is not coated. So this is what I was talking about down here with the anabolic compound. You got a rear main seal here, but you got all this surface area that is not coated. So we're going to go ahead and put some sealer on there and put this thing back together. Where's the sealer? There it is. So we're going to take the sealer, and we're going to put some here in the corners, down, make a little straight line down to the seal. Then we'll go up the sides. Now most motors don't have these sidewalls, but this Buick does. And we're just going to rub that in a little bit there. We got a good joint in there in the corner. We need a little bit more right in here. Okay, now I'm going to get the cap and put it in. So, as always, we're going to put some bearing guard. And you see that stuff is really thick. Put that on there, a little bit on the seal, give it some wetness. Now this is a stock engine main bolt, so it just gets a little bit of oil. And a little bit on the surface where it's going to torque to. Go ahead and tighten it down. Okay. Get the torque wrench and do a final torque. Now we have a little bit of excess on the back. We'll go ahead and just wipe that off. Alright, so now on this Buick, they have right here, they have these little holes right here. They got little rubbers that go in there with a nail that tightens them down. So we'll go ahead and put them on. But now we're got this part ready to go, and we'll go ahead and start putting the rest of the pistons in, and then keep getting this engine until we have it finished. Alright. Okay, so one thing I didn't show you guys, I kind of screwed up. I'm not used to these Buick motors. Is on this cap, they have these little rubber inserts. You have to put those in before you put the cap in. So I had to pull the cap back out, put those on, put the cap back in, and then there's little nails you pound in there to tighten up the gasket to make it seal. So that's all done and it's up properly. I went ahead and got all the pistons in but the last one. So I wanted to go ahead and show you guys what we did. So a little bit of motor oil in the cylinder wall and in the tool. We take the piston, make sure the rings, the gaps on the rings are 180 away from each other. We use the Cleveite bearing lube. I think pretty generous on that. I like to get a good dose of that in there. Get nice and wet like that, so it's really nice. Take our ring compressor. On these pistons it says F for front. No problem. Okay, so this one's ready to install. Get it lined up in the cylinder wall here. There we go. Make sure the compressor's in good. Tap it in nice and lightly. We look down here and see where the rod is at. Push it through. Want to make sure that the rod bolts do not hit the journal on the crank. That is a huge no-no. You don't ever want that to happen. Get this rod up here. And that's it. Now you can put rubber hose on these rod bolts here and kind of help guide it, or they make tools that you can put on there. I've got them. I actually didn't use them on this motor. This motor has a 5/16 connecting rod bolt in, which is a lot smaller than one I normally use. So I didn't have a tool for that. Mine are all for 3/8 and 7/16. So we'll go ahead and big dollop on the cap. And then we put the cap on. Now one of the things, whenever you're putting a motor together, you always have a tab on the connecting rod here for the bearing. That always goes against the rail for the side of the block that you're putting in. In other words, I'm putting in 1 through 7 here, so this is 1, 3, 5, 7. Here's the rail, so these tabs go towards this rail. You want to make sure you get that right, because in the connecting rods, there is a, let me pull it back out. It's hard to see in this, but there is a taper. And the taper always goes against the radius on the crankshaft. So you have to do that right, or you'll eat your bearings up. So we just put that on there like that. Now these have ARP bolts, so we go ahead and use the ARP lube. We put a nice big dollop around there like that. Put the cap bolts on. Run them all the way down. Get a torque wrench. What I like to do is I like to snug one side down and run the other side down. Let me turn it a little bit. There, now we can get the socket on there good. Now since this side is snug down, we'll go ahead and torque this side. Torqued. Torqued. Now, what I like to do, just to make sure we have no issues, I take a ratchet, and you can see I spin the motor around like this, and I can feel the drag and make sure I don't feel any high or low spots. That tells me that everything is good, the rings went in fine, and we're all good. If you have a ring overlap or something like that, you'll feel it bind up. So every piston I put in, I spin it, and the drag should stay fairly well the same thing. So now that we have that all done, the bottom end is all torqued, I'll go ahead and put paint pen dots on all the tops of the bolts to show that it's torqued, and then we're ready to go to the top end. Let's go ahead and finish that up now. Caps again. Clean all the ARP off the bolts. And now it's flowing nice, so let's go ahead and hit the main caps again. So the paint on here is for two different things. One, it's to remind me that I've already torqued everything. But the other thing I think about it is the next person that tears the motor down is going to look at it and go, wow, somebody really took their time and went through this thing properly, because everything is identified. So just like you see when you get something from the factory, it usually has some kind of ID that each department did their job and got a final okay. So that's basically the same thing we're doing with the paint pen, is we're just putting a final okay on this procedure. So now this bottom end is truly done. We still have to put the pickup tube and the oil pan on, but we gotta get the timing cover on first, and the pan gasket was not in the kit, so I'm waiting for a new pan gasket to come, and we'll get that on. But in the meantime, we're done with the bottom, we'll go to the top. I was showing you guys that 3M wheel before, but I really didn't show a lot of how it's good. So here I show that how it cleans up real well. Now, of course, I don't really recommend doing that with the engine assembled, but this was just one of those cases where I had to get it done, and I went ahead and cleaned it up real well anyway. After that, washed the cylinders down real good. But the big thing is that wheel, if you keep it flat, won't take too much material off, won't take any material off the block. So it's really good and safe to use aluminum blocks when you're trying to get it. So here, go ahead and clean up the cylinder head now. Anyway, so I'll skip through some of this. I mean, I think I might have even showed some of this before. This is going to be in a video of putting that engine together. It's actually 0. So I'm just kind of going through these. Stick them in there and just we'll do all of them, and then it'll finally come out to the rocker arm. So you want to get lubricant. Yeah. So all this stuff is, we kind of went over all this stuff before. Oh, here's using the. It's all finished up, ready to go. Now we're going to put the valve covers on. I wanted to show you how I do this. So here's our valve cover gaskets. We're going to take our, using the gasket cinch for the gaskets. And my camera keeps losing its stuff here. We're going to take our gasket cinch. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to cover these gaskets . We want to cover these gaskets really good, so we're going to wipe it on with the wand, spread it around, get it as even as we can. This can's getting a little old, so it's getting a little stringy. There we go. You want to make sure you're doing this on something that you can throw away, because it does get glue everywhere. Just get a good coating on everything. And coating on the valve cover. Again, both valve covers, nice coating. And let this tack up for a minute. Alright, so once they tack up, you can see they start to dry pretty good. And we'll stick them on the valve cover. Yep, put it on backwards. I like to just roll them on once I get them in place. You see they're already starting to stick pretty good. So we'll stick it on the motor. Now we'll do the other side. Come on. Get this second one. So get this second one on. Again, I like to roll it to get the gasket to adhere. That sticks on pretty good, so we'll go ahead and stick it on the motor. Now we'll go ahead and bolt them on, and that part's done, then we'll get to the exhaust manifolds. So yeah, so that's some of the videos of the engine assembly and some of the products that we had talked about a couple weeks ago in use. I know Rick's going to be needing to use some of that stuff and some how we use it stuff when he starts putting his 327 back together. Hopefully it helps some people out. None of those videos were edited. You can see, in fact, my camera every now and then would lose if the tripod, if it loses sight of your face, then you have to recalibrate. That's why I'm giving it the OK sign, and that's how it starts recording or following you. Face recognition, and then you see we give it the stop sign. That means stop recording. But anyway, so that's kind of what the stuff that we do, the stuff you need to put together. Might have one for the intake manifold. Let me see if I got this motor doesn't take a standard intake. All right, so it's in the one before that. Let's see here. Get this queued up here, right? All right, so this is the intake manifold. Go ahead and show this real quick. It's a little different because this motor has a valley tray in it, like a Pontiac would have. or a Buick would have, but still the same. No, start all over again.
So yeah, so now we'll go ahead and typically what you'd want to do is you want to put your intake on. You have this China rail here. You want to make sure that you check the gap between the intake manifold and the China rail to see how thick it is, because cylinder heads get cut, intakes get cut, so you want to know what that distance is. This motor doesn't take that because of the steel shim gasket, so we're going to use the rubber seal that comes in the kit and put it on. The common problem is right here in these corners of the China rail, where the block and the head and typically the intake or intake tray like this we'll use, valley tray, is you got a little corner gap there, and that can leak oil right there, so you want to always address that. So in the instructions, one thing I like about Fel-Pro gasket kits is they usually have an instruction book inside giving you different clues or tips of different parts. They've got head gaskets, valve steel, intake gasket. Now on the intake gasket they talk about the V-type engine using the China rails and exhaust gaskets, main bearings, just all different kinds of instructional information there. So really good stuff. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we want to fill this corner up in this China rail. So we're going to take our silicone, we're going to kind of force it in there. Same thing on all four sides. Just kind of squeeze it in there and put a big dollop on there. We can always clean it up later. Okay. Now, typically, I'd put these on dry, but we want to make them stick, so we're going to put a little glue on them. I use a Aircraft Aviation. And get this in here so we don't spill it. We just put a little coating on the China rail up to our silicone spots. Now we'll stick our gasket on there, kind of push it into the silicone. Kind of force the corners in first, and then get the gasket to sit over top of the China rail. Okay, so now we want to put some aviation sealant all around the intake ports because it's a steel shim, so you want to make sure you don't have any vacuum leaks. Want to kind of, you could use silicone here, but the problem is the silicone's kind of thick. You want the intake to seat all the way. Now we will put a little bit of silicone around the water ports as per the instructions from Fel-Pro. They say put an 1/8 inch bead all the way around the water port. Now we also want to put a little dollop on top of our gasket corners, those China rail to cylinder head corners. Even though we've already filled it full of silicone, now we have a rubber gasket in there, so we want to put a little bit more in there. Then we take our intake gasket, that just kind of sits down in there. And then they have these end plates that go on, and that's what holds everything down. That gets screwed on. Use a 1/2-inch socket and tighten it down. We don't want any water leaks, that's for sure. And we'll use our gasket sealer again, the aviation forma gasket, just to kind of make sure we don't have any vacuum leaks around the ports. When you get a motor together and you get a vacuum leak or something, it's take a little time to figure out where it's at, and then you gotta take it all back apart and redo it. So better just be on the safe side there, and that way you don't have to worry about it. All right, so now we'll grab the intake and we'll stick it on.
All right, so that was kind of some of the stuff on there. If I can get this to stop, there we go. Obviously, it's a little different than your normal small block, big block, Chevy or Ford or any of the other motors that don't use a valley tray. If you're using a paper gasket for the intakes, I like to glue them on with the gasket cinch, roll them out, and then use the aviation Permatex for the intake side. That way you get a good coating on there, again, for vacuum leaks. And the big dollop of silicone in the corner of the China rail. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Also, I mentioned a while back when we were talking about the chemicals, check your intake bolts, your bolt holes into your cylinder heads. On that particular engine, the holes are blind, so the bolts going through the intake into the head go into a blind hole, so there's no oil they can get in there. But most of your other engines, small block Fords, some big block Fords, all your Chevrolet big block, small block engines, the bolts go through the head casting and go into the valley area where the push rods go through. So they do get wet with oil. And what you can get is oil will wick up through the threads, believe it or not, and you'll get an oil leak there. I'm sure you guys have all seen engines with little puddles of intake, little puddles of oil on the intake, and you're like, how did the oil get there? There's nothing around there. Well, it wicked up through the intake bolts, and then it catches in that intake. So on any motor that does that, I go ahead and use the aviation Permatex on the threads of the bolts to seal the threads to the cylinder head so that the oil can't wick up through there. So just another little tidbit. So pretty much what we had for tonight's show, kind of short weeks and stuff, but now we're back in swing of things. I'm trying to get the Cup Car finished up to get it advertised for sale. Hopefully we can get that thing moving along. And I have one of those right now. All right, Cole. Well, now you know how to fix it. So pull your bolts out one at a time and put some paste on the threads. You can use tape dope for that too, but I like to use the aviation Permatex. And that'll fix that problem. But anyway, so yeah, hopefully we can get the Cup Car moving along here soon, so we can get the main project car for 26 is the Vet Hawk. I want to get back on that project. I want to get that thing running. I'd like to have it maybe in a semi-running position by September. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we're going to give it a try. And we have a couple little things on Dave Chevelle. We got to get that back in the shop. I got to put remote control in for the door locks. We have a short little list of things to do. We're going to put some catalytic converters on there. We've got a charcoal canister for the fuel tank vapors, which I'm going to show. That's going to be pretty interesting. I've read about them. I haven't ever used one, so that'd be pretty cool. We'll show you guys some of that stuff here in the near future. That's pretty much it. We'll get this when I get the T-type wired up next week. I'm going to go ahead and create a video start to finish on Terminator X install and tuning. So that'll be pretty interesting. And I've been working on a couple other remote tunes, but not a whole lot I can show you on there because the cars aren't here. So anyhow, I think that's all we're going to have. We kind of ran over tonight, but I appreciate everybody checking out. It looks like you had a pretty good crowd tonight. I really appreciate it. Remember, hit the like button. Helps with the algorithm. Subscribe. Tongue twister. Subscribe. It's free. You're not going to get any junk mail or anything in your inbox. It's just helps you get notification and find the channel faster. Every time we put something out, you'll get a notification. So, just go ahead and if you guys could do that, share it, like it, all that good stuff, and be good. We'll see y'all next week, and hopefully everybody has a great week. So, with that, see ya. See you later.